Right. Well, let me welcome on stage Mr. Michael Taylor, the CIO of Mercedes-AMG Petronas Formula One team, accompanied by his partner, Mr. Gertjan Vaassen from TIPCO. Hey, Mike. Well, and they all hear it. And let me also welcome Mr. Bill Peters, and he's the CEO of Aston Martin Formula One team, and he will be with a live video connection. Hi, Bill. How are you?
Hi, guys.
Hi, Bill. And he is accompanied by his partner, and that is Mr. Jeroen Carré from Cognizant. Well, we got two of the CEOs in the house. The third was, unluckily, we needed to interview. Let me start, Michael and Bill first. Michael, if we look to the tech development in the last 10 years, so what is really stressing out in those new technologies?
I think it's a difficult question to answer because the technology advancement across every aspect of our business has been extreme. I think the key element, though, is the ability to do more in less time. So cycle time. Time is the currency of Formula One because we're such a deadline-driven sport. So I think when I look at the technology advancement, it's in material science, it's in manufacturing, it's in design, but all of it is underpinned or enabled through IT and through technology. And a lot of that comes from the ability to, as I say, do more in less time.
Right. Would like to add something to that, Bill?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with Michael, and you know, I think in my numerous years within F1, I think there's been massive changes over the years. And I guess the most noticeable thing for us in the most recent years is the sort of the emergence of the data and analytics capabilities that are available to us now. You know, and I guess there's the sort of knock-on effect of that as well is this proliferation of software developers and data scientists within the business. So, as with automotive businesses, Formula One is becoming very much a software-driven business now, and ultimately, I think that's going to make the difference going forward. I guess the other sort of thing that I've noticed personally, and certainly with my current team, is the power of social media now as well. The ability to actually directly engage with fans and and get that sort of insight into the fan base as well has changed massively over the last 10 years.
Yeah. Well, you heard a good sample with fan experiences on the race of Zandvoort, and we just had the talk about with Bernard. So if I bring back to you in terms of that really mature eyes of data, how in the end will help you having that last for hundreds of seconds, right?
Sure. Formula One has always been a data-driven sport. Back in the 50s, the source of the data was the stopwatch, and there was a clipboard with timing data being captured. We've evolved significantly since then, and added the ability to capture more than 1 billion data points across a race weekend, for example. I think the real advancement, though, that what we're seeing now is the ability to turn data into information. And for us as an organization, it's then turning that information into knowledge. So rather than being a data-driven organization, we're very much a knowledge-driven organization, being really understanding our data, understanding our information. And obviously the tools, the tool sets, the advancements in technology, reduction in cycle times, ability to do more with less, the improvement in modeling, so fidelity around modeling has made a huge difference. So when you combine all of those things together, it's kind of the tool sets that now differentiate, I think, what we can and can't do. Every aspect of our organization generates some form of data. How we use that data is key to how we operate. So, partnering with TIPCO, a great example, being able to visualize the data, make the data meaningful for the consumer, enables them to learn, but also make better decisions faster. And Formula One is all about time and doing things sub-second.
Right. So if I bring that back, Gertjan, how does it work within a relationship? What do you bring? What do you gain in terms of that experience, that even knowledge, I hear the second level already, right? Not data-driven, but knowledge-driven even.
Yeah, I think I always have to explain that TIBCO is not just a sponsor of Mercedes, but we have been part of the team for the last 6 years, working really closely together. In fact, some of the engineers of TIBCO are part of the factory. But it helps also to drive the innovation together. And if you ask me what it does for our partnership, we also learn a lot during every year when we work with Mercedes. And of course, we are helping other customers there with these innovations. So nowadays, we use it in fraud detection for our banking customers. We use it also for digital manufacturing. So today I had nice conversations with other CIOs, also together with Michael. And there's so much similarity, but in the end, Formula One is, of course, a very, very high-end example.
Right. So, Bill, if you look to that, that element of partnerships, how crucial are those partnerships, in this case, for example, with Cognizant?
They're absolutely essential, really, for all the teams, and I think there's various constraints put around us, as Michael's very acutely aware of. We've got cost caps imposed on us now. There's a shortage of real talent across the world. We're looking for the same talent as everybody else, and partnering with companies like Cognizant, etc., we can really exploit their pool of resource. And they don't just bring, IT resource or analytics capabilities, but it's across the business. They have PLM, product lifecycle management specialists. They have business specialists. They have, data scientists that we can tap into, and that's crucial for us.
Right. If I bring it to you, Jeroen, in parallel or as a sample, how do you see that within your enterprise customers? See similarities in terms of the outcome which you have?
Yeah, absolutely, because a Formula One team is a very interesting type of organization, because it's an organization that is so much focused on one particular goal. It's also very much a data-driven organization, like you said. From the beginning on, the early days, the stopwatch was the first data point that started, and that is still the most important one. What is also important is you work in very high-performance teams with a continuous effort to continuous improve. Whether you are one of the teams on the end or one of the top teams, everybody is focused on trying to improve. And I think one of the things that we try to do in the partnership is also to try to translate those kind of learnings from, let's say, how the organization functions towards, let's say, enterprise clients, if you like. And we all say that we are data-driven. We have that ambition, but the Formula One team is truly data-driven. And I think those learnings and those journeys and those kind of operating models are really helpful for us to use also as a reference towards some of the enterprise clients that we work with.
Right. I think we have set the scene for both Michael and Bill in regards to also the partnerships, but I think the true question here from the audience is, guys, porpoising. Who wants to start, Bill or Michael? Porpoising. We want to know. We want to know.
I think Bill should go ahead with this.
Yeah. You get pole position here.
One. Yeah, it's a really tricky one, and there are a lot of people at our factory, and I'm sure there's a lot at Michael's factory as well that are much cleverer than we are, scratching their heads over this one. We understand why this is happening. It's the sort of changes to the ground effects, the aerodynamic regulations, and the constraints around the suspension systems, etc. So they're combining to have this effect. And I think it's impacting some teams more than others. Some teams seem to have got on top of it, but it's there for everybody. And I don't think that there's an easy fix. The only way that we can counter this is to engineer our way out of this. And there's no silver bullet. It's going to be marginal gains. And I think you'll see the cars across the grid evolving throughout this season. And, there'll be, I think certainly there'll be some significant upgrades coming along with all of the teams, and hopefully we're about to start countering that effect. Whether we can eliminate it, who knows? But the question is managing it, I think.
Well, we talked about extensive data, so at least the predictive analytics didn't work here a bit, I guess. So, Michael, how are you going to solve this? Different answer, I guess, hopefully than Bill, otherwise,
Our organisation, all Formula One teams are very problem-oriented, fortunately. Sometimes we're a bit solution-led, ends up in IT, can you deliver this, please, because we need to do X, Y, Z. Oh, okay, great. But generally, engineering problems offer a great opportunity for the team to really dig in and show the worth of the tooling and the data sets that we've captured and the models that we've built, the simulation models or the simulation models that we're now evolving to try and understand this effect. It's a great test for us to show our engineering capability and our organizational expertise. So I have no doubt we will, as Bill says, I'm not sure we'll fully master it, but we will get on top of this problem, as will every other team. And the evolution of the cars you'll see this season will be significant. The car that finishes the season will be completely different to the car that starts. Now, we do have a number of constraints, and the financial regulations are now a third pillar in our governance of the sport. Historically, we've had the technical regulations and the sporting regulations. They both changed significantly for this year. The cars are a completely different beast to anything that we've had before. Now, there's a nod back to the late 70s, early 80s of the ground effect cars. But everything's evolved significantly since then. So, this is a new challenge for all teams, but a challenge that through learning, through the use of data, turning data into knowledge, we will overcome.
And it seems that all the regulations are getting clearer and clearer and clearer in the end, right? So, from a partner perspective, how do you gonna solve the porpoising, TIBCO?
That's also for me a difficult question, but the only thing I do know is that first of all, in the end, it will be solved also based on all the data and that is generated by the cars. And like Michael said, that is not limited to predictive analytics. That's also a lot of in the wind tunnel tests, but also in the end, the results from the race. And there are 300 sensors full-time sending data. So there is a lot of data, of course, during the course of the season. We are part of that challenge, but I think it's the same for all the teams. And honestly, being a Dutch guy, I think now Mercedes is in a different position after 6 years of championships. Constructor championships. So it's now interesting to see how long it will take, and it's fun to be part of that journey.
Right. Stick with them as it should be, right? In good and bad times, so to speak. So from a Cognizant perspective, so what are you looking for the outcome for the partnership with Bill or with Aston Martin in this case?
At least I'm glad you're not asking me about the purpose.
No, I know. Okay. But what do you think, what you would like to get out of this for the future, and what you can translate into for this audience, right? They don't drive Formula One cars, but at least they drive cars, right?
Exactly. No, I think there's a couple of things to this. Of course, we are as Cognizant in the long term, for the long run, with this partnership. So we evolve and we learn every season. But I think the purpose for us is to learn also from the Formula One team, like I just explained, and translate that back to our clients. And particularly when it comes to data and analytics, obviously there's so many fields and areas where we contribute already, where we believe we can make that even more useful for our clients. And I'll give you examples of, Bill also mentioned the whole social media versus the operation interaction, where you have an instance, where you would have an incident, where you would have an event that immediately needs to be translated into social media. That whole trail of, let's say, capturing that event and translating it to messaging to your audience, to your customers, etc. I think that's one of those things where Formula One has really showing us how we can still improve some of the solutions that we bring to our clients.
Right. Bernard, you're a driver. Well, at least you drive.
Yeah. No, I think if you talk about data, I think for a driver, data is essential, and you hear it, of course, during the races. I mean, where where you can brake, and also learn from the other driver. If somebody brakes 2 meters late, or just has a different pressure point on the brake, or a different steering angle, and what it does with the car, is all the data that you can compare. So even for an amateur driver, when I drive with a professional, you go to a new track, you're there for maybe 60 minutes to try it out, and the only thing you can improve yourself of is based on the data. So data as a driver is super key of getting the better thing out of yourself, especially if you drive on a new track. And then all the simulations are important. I think for Zandvoort, Mercedes had also the wrong simulation. So then beginning the car comes with the wrong setup. So a simulation for a driver as to experience a track, but also as how to set up a car for that track. Because there's a lot of, every driver is also different. So you have the data points, but there's also how a driver can interact with a car, and how it can be more set for that person, because that's, I think, quite different if you look also between Max and Paris, the way they drive the cars and the way they want to drive the car. That's completely different. So using the data to prove the car not just as an element, but as specific for the driver is super key.
Right. Just final question for both of the CIOs. You are extremely competitive arena, right, with Formula One. But these guys here, and girls also, of course, ladies, are also daily in a competitive environment, right? Trying to get the most out of their tech for their business, so to speak. So what would you give them as a golden bullet, do or don't, in this case, Bill, for the audience, for your peer CEOs?
So in terms of competitive advantage you're talking about?
Correct.
So, I think we strive, it's not just, what you see on track, it's everything that you see behind the scenes as well. So whether it's just, it's the peer life cycle throughput of getting ideas onto the car as quickly as possible, whether it's, managing the financial constraints that we've got now, to making sure that your people are motivated, etc. We're looking for advantage everywhere. If there's any form of advantage to be had, we'll go for it. And I think that's endemic and institutionalized in all of the Formula One teams. And whilst we are very competitive with each other, I think there's a lot of collaboration as well with across teams as well. And we all respect each other. So if somebody gets the upper hand this year, we give that a nod, and then we try and get the upper hand in the future years.
So your strong advice, if I may bring that back to the audience, is go bold with tech, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go
Anywhere
bold with
you
tech.
can get advantage.
Great, thank you. Michael, same for your peers here in the audience, because they are your peers, right?
Indeed. So I think, understand business strategy. The most important thing you can do as an IT leader these days is really understand the business strategy, deeply understand the business strategy, and if you can, contribute to the business strategy as well. I think to be a successful leader these days, you need to be credible. You need to be yourself. You need to be very credible. So overstretch, definitely, but don't overstretch your team too far. I was given some great advice early on in my career. Always hire great people who are smarter than yourself. That's definitely a must. It's a tick that I always have on my to-do list to check. The second as well is build great partnerships with world-class organizations. So we're very fortunate that we're able to do that and utilize the talent pool, the extended talent pool that's available to you. But I think the most important is to deliver on your commitments. If you're able to fulfill at least 75% of all of those things, I think you'll be a very successful IT leader inside any organization.
Right, thank you. Well, gentlemen, thank you very much for this contribution. And Bill, good luck on Sunday. Michael, good luck on Sunday. And of course, Gertjan and Jeroen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.